Welcome to the final hour of the Situation Room this Thursday, and it's the 29th day of June 2023. Tomorrow is the 30th of June, end of the financial year, and that's the date by which, by midnight tomorrow, file your returns, and then you'll be safe. Because if you don't, come the first, start accruing penalties and interest like that. And it's just because you just sat back there and you decided procrastination is your best mate. Why, really? Or if you're encountering any challenges filing your returns, our next guest is from the Kenya Revenue Authority. He is the Assistant Manager for Domestic Taxes Department, David Busaule. Good morning, David.
Good morning.
Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation. Welcome to the hot seat of the Situation Room.
Asante sana.
Very, very good. We are here because we want to talk about tax. We want to talk about that framework for filing tax returns, and we've been talking about this for a while.
Yes.
Maybe there are people who have got questions, and we're asking them if you've got any challenge, if you've encountered any challenge filing your tax returns, please go onto our social media platforms and pose your question. We will direct you to David. He should be able to respond to you. Siti,
That's fine.
let's start with you, not asking the question to David, but giving him the day's proverb.
Yes, our proverbs for the whole of this week ending tomorrow are from the country of Chad. If two wise men always agree, then there's no need for one of them.
If two wise men always agree, then there's no need for one of them.
Yes.
David, do you agree?
Totally. Totally.
Two wise men have agreed. One of them is not necessary.
They've just become a yes.
Come back tomorrow. We have a wise man here called David. He's agreed with you.
Thank you so much.
You are not needed anymore.
I want me to talk about and who should I greet on my way home?
Salimia kila mtu. What's your interpretation of this proverb, David?
Of the
proverb.
Oh, the proverb. I think we're different, and we might see things from different perspectives, and if our and even our backgrounds, I believe there'll always be some different way of looking at things, and we may agree to disagree, but at least we should have different perspectives, even if they lead to the same objective.
Are you Kenyan?
Yeah, Malu.
Because you've answered the question like a Kenyan.
Agree to disagree.
Yeah, I agree to disagree. They're all different. Meaning cover your bases properly with the response. But you know something about the interpretation of a proverb, you can never be wrong. Because it's your take. This is how it resonates with you.
Yeah. I think the proverb actually, like David is saying, it's encouraging people to accept other people's perspectives, right?
Yeah.
You've got one perspective. I don't have to take your perspective as well. If we agreed, if all of us agreed, then
Always.
Yeah.
Once in a while, good. Always.
But always, now there's a problem. There's a problem. We can't see things from the same angle all the time.
That's
Okay. Now, tomorrow is a big day.
yeah.
Tomorrow is the day that the system will have everybody trying to get in at the same time around 2 p.m. trying to file the tax returns. Let's look at the previous years.
Yeah.
When you talk about filing returns and saying, when you're closing the financial year, December 2022, then you're given 6 months at least to file your returns.
Yeah.
In terms of compliance and what you've seen, I'm starting the questions from the back. In terms of compliance, from what you see, how many people come in the last final week of the month of June to file their returns? And has this been improving over time as you increase your awareness?
We can see probably about 20% of the returns we receive in total, they might come towards the last 10 days.
20%
Yeah.
of what you receive.
Yeah. So if you're targeting probably to receive about 6 million, at least 1 million more than
will be in the last days.
In fact, even the last 5 days, not even 10.
Has this been the same, or are you noticing a decline or a change over time?
On the numbers, we haven't seen a much. We haven't seen an increase in how the last few days contribute to the overall target of the number of returns we are receiving, and probably just it boils down, probably it's a Kenyan culture that we need. We just need. I think we always test the water, see is it up and running? Very good. I'll file tomorrow, and I procrastinate until the end of the day.
Right. To be clear, people who are supposed to be filing the returns between January and June are for the year that ended in December 2022. Or is that not the case?
Yeah. The people we are expecting their returns are first all individuals, then all partnerships. We're also expecting their returns because their financial years are supposed to run from January to December. And then the last category we're expecting their returns are those companies who have elected their December as their accounting period and month.
Okay.
Which again, they're the majority, probably about 70% of our companies or above, they close their accounting year in December. So June becomes a very huge due date for KRA.
So why June? Why can't you? Why not October?
I think it's just the law, because the law says you need to file your returns by end of the 6 months. So depending on when you elect to close your, of course, individuals and partnerships, they don't have that option to select, but for companies they can select. So we have companies probably who, like Safaricom, they close their financial year in March. So we realize for them their return is coming by end of September. So again, it's more of 6 months after. But it's just other countries that do it differently. It's just the model Kenya decided to have.
So Kenya decided to give 6 months period from
January.
6 months from for us it's 6 months after the end of your financial year or the year of income. Yeah.
Why are returns necessary?
Yeah, returns. First, tax returns necessary for KRA because it's a way the taxpayer communicates to KRA on the declarations and the incomes they have earned in the year. We may not have visibility, a 360 view of all your incomes, and the return now gives the opportunity for someone to come and say, "This is how much I did. These probably are my expenses. These are my deductions, and probably this is what I owe KRA, or this is what KRA owes me, or." We are even. There is no one owes each other. So
why is it yearly? Why is it not quarterly or half yearly?
Again, we look at the ease of doing business. For annual returns, it becomes for some of these returns, we have different returns. And as I look to that, we have most of our returns now. We don't have a quarterly return. We have now the monthly returns and the annual returns, and because the income, this return applies to both individuals. We have the individual returns and we have the company returns, and their income also might be earned over different months. It kind of probably makes more sense to have an annual return, because if it's quarterly, probably then the quarter one we may have to put nil, because we have also those businesses whose income is not constant over the year, and so the annual return makes it easier for an individual. As much as your pay as you earn is deducted monthly, it's just an easier way of receiving returns on an annual basis than quarterly. And
when you say easier, okay, VAT is paid monthly.
Yeah, VAT is paid monthly. That's
yes,
right. Yeah.
That's true, because of the nature. Because you can't. There is no VAT unless you've transacted some business.
That's true.
Yes. Now, when you say easy, there is the need to determine that the business that this person says they're doing is actually the business they say that they're doing.
Okay.
Because that business will then give you a clearer indication of whether what they say they're earning is what they're really earning.
That's true.
Employment, people are employed, it's easier perhaps.
It's easier, yeah.
Yes. Now, how does KRA manage this? How do you determine? Because I get the impression that when I do this thing yearly, it's a year. Many months have gone by. So you receive my returns by faith?
Not necessarily by faith. We have some inbuilt mechanisms for us to be able to to be able to know that there's some discrepancies between what you're declaring in the annual return and let's say for the VAT returns, because if you are filing 12 VAT returns, then it only makes sense that the income you've declared in the 12 returns, not necessarily it has to be one-to-one depending on the sector and the business, but it should be a true reflection of what you're coming to declare in the annual return. So we are in the self-assessment regime, yes. At some point there is some faith in it, because we are in the self-assessment regime where we expect taxpayers to come and declare and say.
Why do you expect taxpayers to simply come and tell you each and every little nitty-gritty thing about their business, how much they earn, knowing full well that if they let you know how much they really earn, you will want some of that money in the form of tax?
It's a balance between it's a balance between how we implement the self-assessment regime and also how we enhance compliance, because to some extent we might actually know that you're making 2 million and you may still come and tell us you're making $1 million.
How will you know?
Okay, we may not have a very 360 view of all your transactions, but to some extent we still have a good extent of visibility of certain transactions you have. And I'll still even come again. Someone else you might have sold to might actually declare you as a customer, and they'll say you supplied 3 million to them. So that data set on its own is just enough for us to know that you've traded with XYZ Standard Group. And let me even use the example of Standard Group probably.
An employer, employee.
Employee, that's easy. Payee, that is one-to-one. In fact, even that one we don't focus much on it. Mostly just work back and see if certain employers are declaring because some employers probably might give you a P9, but maybe they are not prompt in paying the pay as you earn. You as an employee, you may never know that, but at some point
they
you come in to file
remit on time.
On time, or even probably they were having cash flow challenges and they never remitted the pay as you earn by end of the year.
Actually, you will know, because if they don't remit it, KRA will write to you and tell you that you haven't paid your taxes.
But it will come through a return. Because now the return is the one which will say, I have a salary of 10 million from Standard Group. Payee was supposed to be 3 point something million. And then seems like your ledger is not balanced. And now KRA will
come and tell you.
Come and have a conversation with you. Yeah. All right. We've been flying around. Excuse me. Could you do a quick definition of what a return is?
And the return is a tax return, right?
I mean, for the purposes of this conversation.
We have
Yes.
A tax return is basically a declaration by a person, and a person here is either an individual or a non-individual of their income they have earned over a given period. And of course it narrows down now. It will come to show, do you have the whole objective of a tax return after you've declared your income is what is your tax liability at the end of the year. If some of your taxes deducted at source are equal to your tax liability, then probably you don't owe KRA anything. If maybe some of the tax deductions which were deducted at source are more than your tax liability, then you're in a refund position, and you may also just be at a zero liability. So it's basically a summary of all your incomes being declared from all sources. And I know Kenyans have always thought maybe it's only employment, or basically it's all sources of income.
Okay. Now, how many of these are you receiving on a daily basis? People now making these known to you, filing their returns essentially?
The average rate, again, depends on the season. June becomes a peak season for us, and especially the last 5 days, 5 to 10 days becomes like the highest peak season for returns. For now, like on 25th, probably we were at about 4.7. Today we're at 5.4. You realize that's about 700,000 returns, about 750,000 returns in 3 days. So we can comfortably say now we are at an average rate of 250,000 returns as today. But again, the rate for today and tomorrow might hit even 350 to 400,000.
Okay. Do you find that folks are comfortable in the process. I remember some time ago, people were really having a very hard time in terms of how to go to iTax and do all of this.
Yeah.
Do you find that people are having an easier time to do this? And if they are or not, what are the mechanisms you put in place to help Kenyans do this?
Oh, yeah, there are those who have come, especially for some returns have become much simpler over the years, and especially the one for employment income only, where we have the prepopulated web-based return. When you log in, you realize everything which your employer has declared over the year has already been prepopulated, and for you it's just a few checks here and there. So that one I can comfortably say it has become a much easier return for others. I still believe we can do much more simplification, but how KRA has stepped in to do that is to make it easier for the ones who might have a challenge or a struggle here and there to file returns, whether it's employment or other sources of income. We've over the years we've continued to develop relevant material and tutorials and videos which are available on our KRA website and our social media handles and platforms, just again for anyone who may be struggling to file a return. And the beauty about those tutorials, they have narrowed down to the specific income. So we have the one for employment income only, we have the one with other sources of income, we have the one where you are a partner in a partnership. So it has tried to address the different categories, hopefully to help in filing. So that awareness and that information being pushed forward has again helped, because we are moving, the whole objective is do it yourself. We really want to probably ensure that our returns are as simple as possible, and most taxpayers can be able to do it from themselves, and we can only step in maybe for the very few who
if you run into a problem or run into a query.
maybe now it's a unique something unique, but not just the general filing.
Okay, so as some of these questions come in, one of them is that so returns are being filed a couple of days ago, and you find that KRA owes you some money as you're filing these returns. To the tune of, so it's minus 53,000 after what has been done. What happens in that case?
First, how does KRA get to owe you money?
So when you're doing this, how is it that it will not be at zero, right? As it's being filed. It's possible in this case.
It's possible
that you find minus.
It's possible.
And the balance.
Okay, so how does that come to be first of all? And then what happens in that case to get your money from KRA? Hallelujah moment.
Okay, yeah. And I know, maybe even as I answer that, I've seen people always, when they go to file, and even some of our stakeholders who help our taxpayers to file, they always struggle to get at zero. But that should not be the objective. The return, in fact, even this one is a good one. It is a refund. The other one is even when there is a positive, and people always tweaking numbers. And we are, you realize they want to come to zero. Because it's like, no, I can't have a return with positive 2,000. But your employer genuinely probably might have underpaid, but of course now that becomes an issue more of the employer than the employee. But now when your return is negative, and our returns use the accounting principle, when it's a positive, you owe KRA. When it is zero, we are even. No one to follow each other until probably other information comes on board. And when it is a negative, then it means you are in a refund position. Now when you're in a refund position, you will need to go and apply for the refund. And the Tax Procedures Act requires that you apply for a refund within 5 years. So again, that is something they really, even if you are postponing it, please note you need to apply it within 5 years. So you file a return with negative 53,000. What I'll expect that person to do is, let me assume maybe they have, maybe the cost of the refund is maybe they have some insurance policies, they have some mortgage, or genuinely maybe they just worked for less than 12 months in a year. That can also be a reason for a refund, because probably you got some job somewhere, your first job probably in the year, you are jobless, and you maybe got a job at Standard Group and you're being paid 200,000. So you realize the tax rate for the 2 months will be very high, but when you come to file your return, we apply the annual rates. So you come to a refund position. Those 2 months, So they basically, when you look at 400,000, we look at the tax you paid on the 200,000 for 2 months is less than when you apply the annual rates on the 400,000.
Will this person get their whole 53,000, or will KRA tell them, there's this percent that has to go to this, and there's this because we have to deduct this, alafu ya kutoa, comes to 28,000?
No. The refund will be processed. KRA will look into your refund, depending on your supporting documentation again. So this person, when he is applying for a refund, he will upload some certain supporting documentation. iTax has that functionality. So this person will go to the refunds menu and select an option, let's say for income tax, and probably select normal, enter their bank account details, and upload the supporting documentation, which is leading to the refund.
And how long does it take KRA to pay them?
Refund tends to be a very tricky conversation because it's because KRA will process refunds, but will always wait for Treasury to fund us to pay the refund. So
Are you
again,
kidding?
Oh yeah, I think an average taxpayer believes KRA already has the money to pay the refund.
KRA does not have money.
It's the different conversation.
KRA is an agent.
Yeah.
Of course,
So the money we collect goes directly to Treasury, and also if you need to pay your refund. But now the law has changed, and it's maybe one of the nice things about the finance. Okay, let me. Some of the nice things about the finance bill is there is the law now which tells the commission now we need to pay you within 6 months.
Yep.
So again, you'll see a good turnaround around refunds because Treasury now will have to fund KRA to clear some of these refunds because if you don't pay within 6 months, you start earning an interest, which is a good thing
from KRA. I think it's a fantastic.
This principle of self-assessment, why is it important?
Initially, by the way, when KRA in the early 90s, and of course, most revenue authorities at some point start at that point. But when you are small and you're having a small base, it's easy to apply the other one where I have to come and look at your records. KRA used to have these assessors who could come to Standard Group and look at your office. Is like, I think you guys need to pay 2 million. But now when a self-assessment provides the convenience to taxpayers that they can comfortably do it from the comfort of their offices or even their houses or homes, and they do their returns depending on how best they have understood the tax laws, and also but of course now the responsibility now becomes on the revenue authority to make it easier for everyone to really understand these basic concepts about self-assessment, because it's also a trick. It may be a trap for you because you may just come and put a nil and of course you say it's self-assessment, then KRA comes later and probably make some adjustments to your return. So it's more of a convenient way of everyone.
Whose convenience?
Self-assessment regime, I see it as more convenient for the taxpayer than the revenue authority, because it even if KRA knows you did 3 million sell to someone, at some point it may still at some point in the self-assessment regime you may still be required to, maybe you may declare 1 million and maybe explain why you're not declaring the 2 million. So it's for where I see it, it's more of the regime is more convenient to the taxpayer because it gives them the freedom to engage the revenue authority at what they think is the correct tax.
In the absence of this freedom, what else could KRA do?
Right.
What we are working in KRA currently, the objective is we will be seeing a lot of enhanced use of enhanced data analytics to prepopulate your return. So it will be more of a hybrid. It will be a self-assessment, but it will be more of a... You'll be seeing a lot of a self-assessment where we prepopulate for you what we have, and now it reduces these will be pegged on us. We are integrating with a lot of government agencies, private and public, to try determine as much information as possible for individuals. So it will be still self-assessment, but a self-assessment where we portray to you what we already know about you, and probably now reduce the room for under declarations. Yeah.
Okay. There's a good thing to that and a bad thing to that.
Of course.
A good thing to that, of course, is that you've made your work easier for me.
Yeah.
But then the bad thing is if you come in and you have pre-populated and said that I owe you $1 million, Bob, and nothing in my books shows that I owe you $1 million, Bob.
Yeah.
what do I do? And I'm here and I'm filing the returns. Will there be a button that says, I disagree? This is how much I owe.
Yeah. We even with the countries, even with Benchmark, who are doing this, and there are so many things we're working on. Yes, we'll allow the ones who have who are contesting or are aggrieved by the prepopulated. We'll allow them a room to say that. I think you guys say my business income is 10 million. I think my actual records show 8 million, and probably you can attach some documentation to support that, and then you'll submit that. So you'll be submitting probably a return with an exception that yours was 10, mine is 8. Then we review it and we can bring it back to 8. So again, because we are not saying prepopulation, we might get it 100%, because some certain data sets may not be probably 100% accurate. Or again, accounting and tax, tax is more of accrual, and also accounting is accrual. So there could be some issues which some incomes probably which were paid this year, but not necessarily they were for this year. So there could be there could be some few adjustments needed for that. Yeah.
Dominic is asking a question on social media.
Yeah.
And he's asking, in what category do individuals who are trading in crypto or Forex, international Forex trades fall? When they're filing their returns, how do they?
For them, for sure, they're not employed. So they will have to select yes to some question that, do you have other sources of income apart from employment? Then they will go and declare the income they've done from the trades, and probably if there are any expenses relating to that, they will use the column for other in the in the profit and loss account. In the return. Yeah. Okay. But again, for them, I hope he's aware of the digital asset tax, which will be checking in for him from 1st July, where some tax will start being deducted by the person who is paying. And
okay.
I mentioned the word faith with regards to tax, the payments of it, is because I have witnessed the effort KRA has made in trying to make this process of tax returns and the payment of it as user-friendly as possible. But there's something that we always raise in this studio, and that is, do you even think, as someone who works within KRA, that you communicate to the tax-paying public adequately? Not why they should pay tax, because the why is... No. If there is a why, there has to be a benefit attached to it.
Yeah.
And it can't be at the macro level where you're telling us this large, huge understanding of
security.
The goodness for all mankind. So sort of like explanation.
It's actually good for you.
Yes, exactly. You pay taxes, you'll go to heaven, kind of thing. No, what I'm thinking of is there more that could be done in getting people to understand that even when the government talks about taxes, and because KRA doesn't raise taxes, KRA are told to collect.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes. Even as the government tells us to pay more taxes for our benefit and what have you, does KRA think that they have a role to play in getting Kenyans to understand the benefits of paying taxes beyond what the politicians tell us?
Yeah, I agree. KRA can still enhance the awareness, not just on the why, but on basically what your tax money is doing. But of course, again, in collaboration with other government agencies and the National Treasury, so that an average Kenyan, of course, as you say, from the macro level, you can break it down to, and I've seen, I think countries like Norway, they break it down even to, it's like your tax money. It, of course, it's not 1 to 1 shilling, because when you pay tax and it goes to a kit, you can't say that David's tax went to Moi Referral Hospital. Of course, it's 1 kitty then. But they try to narrow down to those that your tax money actually builds this number of hospitals in your...
Yes, they should. There is a sign one often sees. On some roads that have been recarpeted.
By the fuel. It's a good. I always feel nice. I like it. Like, my fuel levy is doing something.
So you feel, so that's where my fuel levy has gone. It doesn't matter whether it went there or not, but at least I feel that I'm being spoken to, I'm being told, your money isn't going to waste. Because you're driving on, it's a nice road, it feels good, there are no potholes. Now, it's that sort of communication so that you actually understand that it isn't going to waste.
Yeah.
Like, remember these signs that MPs have, they don't joke with it. CDF.
Oh, yeah. Anything they do there.
Where you find, for instance, the sign indicating CDF money has been used is bigger than the toilet that the CDF money built. That sort of thing.
Okay. I think it's lessons we can pick up and see how we can tailor-make the communication, even in different regions, because maybe for Mombasa it has to be something different, for Western, for Nairobi, something.
Because people need to know.
Yeah.
And those little things indicate that, so this is what our tax money does.
Yeah, that's
yes.
true. And it enhances voluntary compliance
exactly
now.
Yes, exactly, because in the absence of that, the narrative that will take hold that our tax money is eaten every day, and that's not entirely true.
Every day. Oh, okay, that's extreme.
Well, you mean there are certain days for eating? Are there designated days?
Yes, designated days for eating tax money.
Somebody's asking for you to clarify about Nita.
Nita.
Right?
Yeah.
Because now there's a requirement that you apply Nita across to all your employees.
Yes.
You've got to remit the Nita for them. What is Nita, first of all?
Nita is basically it's the industrial training levy, which is currently being collected by KRA on behalf of the National Industrial Training Authority, which is now NITA. So normally we refer to it as NITA because of the authority.
Yeah.
So NITA is the of course National Industrial Training Authority. So yes, it's a mandatory contribution. NITA is a mandatory contribution for all employees,
even those that are not in an industrial employment.
Yeah, because
industrial training.
Yes, the word industrial at some point, yes.
Why am I paying industrial training for a farmhand?
No, industrial is used when you look at industrial at the level of labor and sectors. It's basically how sectors are. They're calling even the classification for sectors is called the industrial standard in international standard industrial classification, something like ISIC. So you realize the term comes from there, but I know it brings a lot of confusion. But industry basically is just sectors. If you can look at it from a slightly simpler, and that means Nita levy is payable by all employers for all the employees. And we've seen that gap because some employers have always thought that they need to pay it for only the primary employees, but actually it should be paid for all employees you're engaging in a given month, whether they are permanent, pensionable, whether they are contract, whether they are casuals, whether they are secondary employees, whether they are directors, as long as you are paying them a wage or a salary. So even a director with 5 companies, all of them will have to pay Nita for him if they are paying him a wage or a salary.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what happens now to this company when it's coming to declare? Is this a tax deductible? Is it a tax deductible expense?
For the company, Nita levy contribution is a tax deductible expense.
Same as going to happen with the housing levy.
That was
what does that mean?
Deal for
the employers.
Sweeter deal, slightly. It was better than before when it was not a taxable.
What does that mean?
By something being allowed for deductibility for tax purposes as an allowable expense, it basically means then if, let's say, against Standard Group incurred an expense of, let's say, 5 million, because you realize they are matching. So the contribution for, let's say, housing levy, they used to match the employees' contributions, and it's, let's say, 5 million. They will pay it, but now they'll be allowed to claim it as an expense against their income, and now the effect they have will not be the 5 million will have been lost totally. It will be now a certain percentage of the 5 million, because now when you claim it as an expense, then you are getting at least is it 30% of the 5 million? Yes, like you're getting it back as
Okay. As you looking at, it's always interesting because every time around this time there's high pitch, there's fever, everybody's jumping every day. My goodness, it's like if you don't do it, there's going to be, a big man with the whip coming after you come July 1st. Do you think you can get to a place whereby it is getting towards seamless? This is supposed to happen. KRA doesn't have to go into a frenzy to have this done. We understand that there's pressure on KRA also to get this done. I can imagine, and it's immense pressure.
Yeah, that's true.
Because, even now we're looking at the year where still KRA has not collected everything it's supposed to collect, right? So we can understand that pressure. The pressure also on individuals to not be then penalized for having not done this on time is also quite immense. What would it take to get to the point whereby, look, we know this responsibility, we know that it's around this time it needs to be done, let's get it done? Or we always have this high fever pitch, boom, 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 go file come June 30th?
Yeah, it's speaking as a Kenyan, I think it's just how we, because KRA only stepped in again to enhance the awareness, and that's why it becomes now, as you call it, a lot of frenzy and boom, 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 boom around. It's like we are looking, because even you look at the returns which are coming in up to around May, the returns are, we can see an average of maybe 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 per day. The average is quite low, and you realize a good number of people are still out there waiting to file. I think, I believe probably, because we've really tried on doing awareness, and I believe some of you have received emails from KRA, remind us to file, remind us to file, remind us to file.
Yes.
And at some point, we do different awareness, even in social media, through mainstream media. So, to some extent, I'm not sure if, and I think it's not just even for KRA, when even it was for Huduma, it was for IEBC. We've always seen, we as the Kenyan people, even me when I'm going home, I'm like, the IBC patterns is still there. Okay, I'll go tomorrow. So for KRA side, as much as we might simplify the process, make it as swift as possible, is either then we explore which ways can we adopt, and even again some of the practices out here, and which I believe even we can't consider is other countries, they'll prepopulate your return, whether you come in to submit or not. It will, once the due date passes, then it becomes your self-assessment return. So it is your responsibility to log in and confirm what the government has about you is the correct representation, and whether you say yes or no. By failure to do something and the due date passes, then that becomes your return. And of course, that comes with a lot of integration between public and private sector, a lot of data being at the Revenue Authority being basically at the center of a lot of data and transactions in the economy. So again, now, if we do that, again, there will be no much frenzy, because it will just be more of the ones who believe maybe they have something to pay, they log in to see everything is okay, and you relax. But again, those are some issues which even as an organization we need just to again start thinking radically, if really. And then of course again discussions, and I agree with some of the Kenyans, because discussions again about employment income only, do we really have to, I think these are discussions KRA is now dealing with at a high level. How can we radically change this filing process, especially for certain segments?
Beyond, say, this sort of communication through the media, or again, maybe through the media, does KRA have a formal process for getting feedback for all the services that they provide?
Yeah, feedback.
Meaning, the public knows if you have a complaint, not call this number.
No, we have.
Write this email.
Yes, we have.
Send this WhatsApp message. All right. Now,
WhatsApp, but email, Email is cic@kra.go.ke.
You see, why I mentioned WhatsApp is because I was going to say all social media platforms, and I was going to ask the question. Not everybody wants. In fact, email is getting outdated, because from what I've been told, there's a generation here, email, they know it exists, but they don't really use email. They use other modes of communication. Anyway, now, is there a dedicated team that looks at these responses of this communication the public sends to KRA, and do they analyze it, and how frequently do they give out the analysis report of the feedback that they have received?
Yeah, But the KRA takes feedback very seriously, because even after every filing season, there is a whole team which looks into what worked well, what didn't work well, what are the complaints, what were the things we could have done better. So that is just, in fact, for filing, there is a whole dedicated team which looks into and then we plan for next year and say this next year we'll do better. We'll either send more communication. If maybe P9s are the ones being released late, we'll reach out to this segment. So for the filing, it's there. And also across all our platforms, including social media, any taxpayer can raise any complaint or any suggestion, and we have an escalation mechanism where if it is being raised, let's say to a marketing and communication team who handle our frontline, they compile it, and eventually it will come to our office in domestic taxes. I come from the business transformation office, so we are always being tasked on how to simplify, how to take this feedback, and we take it very seriously.
But that is for your internal consumption. Does the public know what it is other members of the public are telling you, so that when you address them, we know that these are the issues that were raised to KRA and this is how they're addressing it? That way we get to know that our complaints, our compliments have been received and they've been acted on.
Yeah, I think maybe then what is missing is probably now a very detailed document probably of what we received and when we delivered it, so that you can be able to see this came in and this was delivered. Because again, even what we've adopted of late as our office in the business transformation office is on anything we enhance in the system, we've now started again, maybe it's just how we are reaching out to the different. We've been uploading a certain document on the website, or probably every month. But again, I think now it comes to which more, maybe how can we use different social media platforms to communicate this, probably more than uploading the document on the website. I think then we just need to find better ways of reaching different people through different platforms, because every month we are communicating to taxpayers that we've done these enhancements, and some of them might actually be some of the things they've already raised with.
It helps tremendously if they know what was raised. These are the issues raised on this subject. This is what was said on this. And in response,
this is what we've done.
This is what we've done.
What we're doing.
But again, even what we are trying to do, what we are trying to implement, we want to try bring these notifications into your specific tax profile, so that anytime you interact with KRA, you'll be seeing probably a notification first, and it will be letting you know that probably these are some of the things you've done. Maybe by the time maybe in this financial year or last month, you'll be able to see KRA has simplified this return. KRA has added a new requirement for NHIF in the return. So we're also trying to move away from maybe the normal way we communicate, and also we want to make it very personalized to the taxpayers, so that anytime you interact with us, you'll now see that
you'll see more.
And if you want detail, maybe because now we can't put all the
link to buy,
so you can just put high level, and then if you need more detail, you can maybe click on a link and it can now expand on it. But it's something which we need to pick it up and see better ways of.
Two questions. One is Chris, who's asking, how does one go about the tax return filings when one is employed by more than one company in a year? Now that KRA accepts only one employer's PIN at the point of filing. I don't know whether that is true or not, but you'll explain that.
Okay.
And the second question I don't understand, Benjamin is asking, why is lump sum taxed?
Why is lump sum taxed?
Yes.
Okay.
Why is lump sum taxed?
Why he is lump sum taxed?
No.
Why is lump sum?
I think it's a lump sum tax payment.
Yes.
Which he received and it was taxed. Okay. So those are the two questions?
Yeah, those two answers. Start with those ones.
Okay. For multiple employers, our both our prepopulated return and the Excel return will prepopulate both employers, or the Excel return allows you to add more than one employer. We have an add draw functionality, so it is possible to capture as many employers as possible in both the prepopulated return and the Excel return.
Okay.
So he can proceed and just declare all of them on a line item together with their respective emoluments which he received from them. Where is lump sum taxed? Of course, the issue is all benefits from employment are taxable. So whether they are coming in through the monthly or they are coming in at a later stage, it is because again, tax law is it's meant also to avoid a lot of planning and evasion, because if you realize that lump sum is not taxed, then you can cut a deal with Standard Group and say, just pay me 24,000. That's the minimum. So you don't pay any pay. But when I retire, I want you to pay me
the balance
30 million. So you realize, so it's more of any benefit from employment, whether it's being received on a monthly basis or at a later stage as a lump sum, it is liable to tax. But again, even lump sum is taxed differently because some of them are spread for certain years. And even let's come to the lump sum for pension. The lump sum for pension, and I know pensioners have also raised this issue why it is taxed, is because even when you are contributing pension, your pension contribution was an allowable deduction. And again, that is what most taxpayers, because if I contribute pension of 20,000 per month, and let's say I'm earning 500,000, then I'm only taxed on 480 because the 20 has reduced my taxable. So when I do that for about 30 or 40 years of active, then you realize even, and then when again you are paid that lump sum, especially for pension, a certain amount again is tax free. So again, I think to some extent government has tried to, because for pension is like if you've been a pension scheme for more than 10 years, maybe you're registering or maybe you're above 50, then you realize the first 600,000 will not be taxed. So if you're being paid $1 million for pension, only 400,000 will be, and again the bands for pension will be wider.
Okay.
So there are different principles around it on that.
Okay. David, thank you very much for joining us.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.